I've interviewed hundreds of people at Facebook and at ByteDance and at my current startup. Sometimes Zach would appear somewhere and people will be like, hey, look at that, that's Zach. It felt like Safari. People is the key. If you overwork people, they're not going to be creative. We currently have more than 30,000 users. And my one of the biggest learnings at those big companies is that.
Hi guys, welcome to another interview. This time our guest is Kisson Lin. She worked for Facebook, TikTok, and she's now co-founder of a new company. Kisson, I welcome you, and could you share more details about yourself and your background with our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, thank you, Nika. Really happy to be here and to get to know everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Kisson. I am the co-founder and COO of Mindverse AI. Our product is MindOS.com. If you log into that, you'll see it's an AI agent platform that highlights a personal AI and with note-taking feature. So before starting this company in January 2022, I have worked for more than 10 years in tech industry, working at Meta for 6 years and then at TikTok for 2 years. My last job for my company was the monetization strategy director at TikTok. And even before that, I studied economics Hong Kong, and I went to JPMorgan. So, transitioning from almost a banker to being in the tech industry, in the internet industry, and later on starting my own business. And I've worked in mainland China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the US. So it's been fantastic journey so far, and I would really love to share more with everyone.
Wow, this is very interesting, and I'm impressed by everything you said. You started in finance first. How did you get to tech?
When I graduated from the university, it was 2010, a while ago, and by then everyone was still talking about finance, and people who studied IT, in computer science in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a financial city, right? People who studied computer science in Hong Kong all went to become the coders, or went to the IT department in banks. So in Hong Kong, it's all about banking, and I thought that after graduation, I thought that I should go to the best industry, which is the banking industry, and I got a job there at JPMorgan, which was lucky, but a year and a half after joining that company, I figured I didn't actually like finance. I actually like to, make creative things happen, and to embrace technology and to think about how to bring more value to most of the people in the world. And so I applied for a job at Facebook and Google, and finally Facebook took me in, and that was how I landed in the tech industry. So in short, I mean, the reason why I landed in the financial industry or in the tech industry was just I find it lucky. It's you just apply for it.
What attributes did you have to meet to work for such huge companies like Meta and TikTok? They tested your skills, or what was the process like?
Yeah, very good question. There are several interviews. So nowadays they try to make the interview loop shorter. But generally you need to go to an initial interview, pass an initial interview done by the HR of the companies. And then that interview was to basically ask you the previous experience to see if what you said makes sense. And if there's no, terrible mistake, or if it's not like you're cheating on your resume, then you will mostly pass the first round. And the second round will usually be either someone you potentially are working with at your new team, or your hiring manager. And up to that point, it's really about your thoughts. You need to prepare for that interview very well. It's about your thoughts, how you know about this job, how you know about the company. So you got to prepare really well about that by basically getting to know the company, getting to know its its biggest challenges, and getting to know how its success factors, and see how you can contribute to it. Either you can strengthen its key success factors, or you can compensate to its weaknesses, like adding to its know-how. And you got to know what your job required. So, for instance, operational job, growth manager, or product manager, they all have different skill sets. And of course, if you learn to be a product manager at your school, then you probably had exposed to a lot of different projects in school, and that will polish your skills. But otherwise, if you are applying for a new job, which you didn't get the chance to be trained at school or before applying for that job, then my suggestion is to ask someone who is experienced. So when I transitioned from JPMorgan to Facebook, I seek for advice from a lot of industry experts in marketing industry, and they give me a lot of experience and tips on how to run, let's say, how to run ads on Facebook, etc. So in my interview, I was interviewed for a partner manager for Facebook advertiser, and in my interview, I shared with those interviewers a presentation, and I said in the presentation that I've interviewed 10 plus experts in the industry, etc. And so here's my feedback, here's my take on what I can do to bring this product, to make this product better. And people were impressed. So I think for whatever interviews, do impress the interviewers if you really care about the job by over preparing.
And did you have an opportunity to meet Mark Zuckerberg in person?
I did. Actually, Facebook was very flat hierarchy, and even ByteDance was very flat hierarchy. All these tech companies, you get a chance to meet with the CEOs and founders of the company if you are in the headquarters. And so when I was at Facebook in the US, we were at the executive lounge where all these like Zach, Cheryl, and Javi, they sit there, and I was at the corporate strategy team where we report to them about what's going on in the industry and what are the great opportunities there every month, and get their feedback. So absolutely, yeah, and there are. And when I was working there, there are always like people taking their friends and families to visit the campus. We call it campus, and whenever they visit the campus, sometimes Zach would appear somewhere, and people would be like, "Hey, look at that! That's Zach," and it felt like safari almost.
Wow, it is very nice to hear these stories, because for me it's something unbelievable. Also, did you apply for another positions in another huge companies like Google or
I did. When I tried to when I graduated and tried to land a job in the financial industry, or when I tried to transit from financial industry to the tech world, I applied for a lot of jobs, and it's usually that you apply for like 30 jobs, you get one interview, or sometimes you get higher chance of getting into an interview at the beginning of your career, right? You don't have much track record to prove yourself, so it's all about number game. And so apply for more jobs, and in one job you will get in. For instance, like I applied for Google, and Google didn't even took me into the first round of interview, but Facebook took me in. So it's all about the number.
Yeah, because I've tried many companies, maybe over 100, and I wasn't successful at all. So this is unbelievable. Kudos. Also,
I can help you take a look at your resume and try to highlight some of the skills. I'm happy to do that and help prepare for the interview. So I think I've done enough job application, and also interviewed enough people. I've interviewed hundreds of people at Facebook and at ByteDance and at my current startup. So it's very, so I know how to highlight the key skills. Wow. Happy to help.
I will be very grateful if you give me any feedback, so thank you. how do these companies differ from each other? What was it like to work for them? How do work culture differences for example, what was the difference between work culture between Facebook and TikTok?
Yeah, it's interesting that the old-fashioned or let's say internet companies, large corporations in the US tend to be more long-term looking, and companies in China tend to be more competitive in the short term and look into things in the short term, KPI driven, and that's a general theme. But besides that theme, overall, tech companies in the world tend to be very flat hierarchy. And so when at Meta, we had very flat hierarchy. A manager would manage many people, up to like 7 people to 10 people. But they usually have a goal. They care about people's well-being a lot. And so for them, if you are promoted as a manager, you are a people manager. So you spend most of your time taking care of your people. And in that case, you cannot take care of a lot of people, right? So they have this kind of soft limitation where every manager could manage up to like 10 people. If there's more, you got to prove that you're a good manager. And managers are not supposed to work all the time as an individual contributor. They are supposed to spend a lot of time managing their team. So at Facebook or at Google, there is saying that if you become a people manager, you don't need to be, a great IC, but you really need to take care of your team and help everyone grow. Make sure that everyone is happy in the organization. And if you are a great talent, but you are not so polished in managing people, you can still be a very senior individual contributor. And sometimes those senior ICs earn even more than people manager. And so there seem to be two paths. Whereas at ByteDance or in Chinese companies, they don't emphasize on management that much. So if you're a great individual contributor, you're very talented, you're usually promoted as managers, and they can put so many people in your team, so many that you don't have enough time to manage those people. And up to a certain point, those people just take care of themselves. And the company doesn't really care that much about how people feel. Their philosophy is growth is the remedy of everything. As long as the company grows, people are happy. And so they put the strongest people to become the manager. And so the hierarchy is even flatter because a manager can manage so many people. And the execution becomes so fast because everyone makes decisions on their own. And there's the very high frequent KPI or feedback loop where you get feedback very often. So for instance, at ByteDance, it's usually when I joined, they do bi-monthly OKRs. So at tech companies, it's usually quarterly reviews, but at ByteDance, it's bi-monthly. And at Pinduoduo or Temu, right, the parent company of Temu, it's monthly KPI. And so it's more competitive, and they care more about the object, the goal, rather than the people. And so I think that is one of the biggest differences working in the US tech companies versus the Chinese tech companies. And comparing the tech companies with, other startups or financial industries, I think generally speaking, they are with flatter hierarchy. They make decisions much faster. They are with better execution, much faster execution, and they use more data to decide to make decisions, more scientific, and also generally speaking, they care about people more than other industries.
And which approach were better for you, or which one did you like more?
To be honest, I try at my current company, we try to apply the Facebook or Meta methodology or the Silicon Valley kind of culture, because we think that people is the key. If you overwork people, they are not going to be creative. So we believe in the 20% vacant time policy at Google. Although it's very hard to execute, to be honest. Like AI industry is so competitive, and sometimes people really need to work very, very, very hard. But we try to let people feel that they have the autonomy to decide things and to just like make mistakes. And whenever we make changes, business decisions or product decisions or people decisions, we consult people, and we try to make them feel like they are also the owners of the company. And the company is with very flat hierarchy and some wellness programs, etc. So I personally would definitely prefer the Silicon Valley culture.
And what have you learned in these huge companies? Some takeaways?
It depends on in which aspect. So whether it's like people management aspect or professional career growth aspect or whatever whatever aspect. So maybe you can specify an aspect where which people care about the most for your channel.
Maybe what have you learned about social media, how they work, or what is successful on social media, how people perceive these platforms?
Well, that's a very, very good question. I mean, inside those huge tech companies, because things are so complicated, and a lot of times, I would say a lot of times the initial intention does not necessarily translate well into the executed outcome. So let me put it that way. I believe that at those Silicon Valley tech companies or at many different tech companies, as long as they can grow big, right? They were with very good intention. When I joined Meta, Meta was with very good intention as well. One of our proudest slogan was to make the world more open and connected, and to enable more small and medium businesses in the world, because we think that SMBs are the biggest employers in the world, and so they can help with social, economic mobility, and they can help with the employment rate of many different countries. And we felt very proud of that. But that said, the later result that there are so many spammy messages on Facebook, spammy content on Facebook, and the Cambridge Analytica, etc., was really unexpected from the employee perspective. And so I realized that in large corporations, it's very hard to manage how everyone thinks. And so you use metrics, you use data to drive everyone's movement, to make sure that everyone is aligned to move towards the same goal. And as long as your organization is so huge, like, with dozens of thousands of people or even more, you do need to break down the KPI, need to break down the OKR or the goal. And the way for you to break down that is not going to be ideal, whatever way you try. And so if you try to break it down in long term versus short term, if you do short term goal, it usually makes you omit the long term opportunity, and people are very short sighted. But if you look into the long term goal, then sometimes things don't have feedback in the short term, and people start to get anxious. So it's really about how do you measure everyone's success? And for you to measure success, you need to give people short-term feedback so that they feel happy about themselves, they feel well achieved. And so the balance between making short-term versus long-term goal, and then the balance between breaking goals down into a very, very ambiguous way or into a very clarified way, that makes a lot of difference too. If you make it too ambiguous, then people will step on each other's toes, and people are not clear on, well, if I do this, I can then raise my salary. But if you break it down too rigidly, there's no way for people to like innovate in the organization. And you always, as a leader, you overwhelm yourself with too much details, and you always omit what's really important, because you can really only think about so many things. So So there's a lot of things to think about as long as the company scales. And my one of the biggest learnings at those big companies is that as the organization scale from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, and from 100 to 1000 or onwards, at every stage the challenges are very different. And at the scale of Meta or TikTok, the challenge is huge when you deal with such organization at such scale. It's very complicated.
And why did you decide to quit and start your own business?
Right. I mean, I've been telling people running a startup or starting my own company is not a question to me. It's the answer to my life. I really love building products. I really love making my ideas come true, and I love building the culture for for the company, and make the culture which I think would be best for everyone. And so I love those elements, and I think that creating these elements makes me feel well accomplished. And so when I was at Meta or TikTok, I was also doing like 0 to 10 stuff rather than doing the scaling stuff, the growth stuff. And so I like creating something new, and I think that doing a startup, it maximizes the fun of creating something new. And it so happened that when we started our company, we thought that the AI technology would become mature in a few years, and so it would be the right timing for us to enter this industry at that moment, because that can get us well prepared for the wave. But to our surprise, ChatGPT came just like less than a year after our company started, and it changed the whole industry landscape. It kind of like accelerated the industry from no one knew about AGI to now everyone was using ChatGPT. So it was very interesting tailwind for us.
Yeah, could you tell more about the company you founded and details? What is the vision, who your competitors are, and things like that?
Yeah, we started this company in January 2022, but really the idea came from earlier in 2021 when my co-founder Dr. Tao and I were discussing about how AI can make a difference in the world. And we think that we were both heavily influenced by the movie Her, and we think that that's the ideal world. Like in the future, you don't need to like turn on an app and click on the complicated interface on the app. And there are so many different apps with their walled garden, and you need to like click and click and click until it reaches your result. In the future, you would just talk to different AI agents like you talk to a human being. And those different AI agents, whenever they need an interface to explain to you, this whiteboard would appear in front of them, and so they can explain to you. So for instance, rather than me going, if I want to do fitness, rather than me opening a fitness app and then click on the filter of the app and say, oh, I want to exercise for 10 minutes. I want to do a gym exercise. I want to exercise my legs. So I do a lot of clicks and try to like browse the videos and select which video it looks great for me. 2 minutes, 3 minutes already passed, and it's a lot of friction. But think about that. Whenever you want to do a fitness training, you just tell your virtual AI agent, your virtual fitness coach, hey, show me a lesson for 10 minutes leg training. And he immediately creates a lesson for you. There's a whiteboard immediately in between you and him. That whiteboard can be on Vision Pro, right? Can be on XR, can be on mobile, can be on laptop, can be on different screens. And it appears that he just shows you how to do that, and you can just follow him. And that whole process is way much more smoother than you clicking on apps. So we think that AI agents would be the future of content creation, of service creation, and we wanted to get prepared for that. So we took this name MindOS. thinking that it's an operating system for AI agents. That's going to be the next generation of like Android. And so we want to redefine how apps are done, how apps should be used. So that was the idea. And now you can see that, well, actually in July last year, April to July last year, we launched our alpha version and beta version of our AI agent platform, which is similar to GPT Store, which was launched earlier this year. And so I think that when we launched that AI agent marketplace, it was kind of new to the industry, and it was very interesting for everyone to come on board and being able to build their own AI agent with avatar, voice, their memory, their knowledge trained. And for now, we add something on top of that. If you have no idea what AI agents you can build on the platform, or if you have no idea, which AI agent you should chat to on the platform, you can build your own personal assistant, because everyone would probably need a personal assistant, and that personal assistant is your second brain. He or she can help you remember your tasks and remember your notes. So let's say when I read a PDF, I can chat with AI on the PDF, and I can ask a lot of extended questions and try to learn more about the objects. And in the end of the conversation, I can just click make a note for me on the whole conversation, and the AI agent will come up with a learning note for you that's well generated, very, very well formatted. And we are launching our mobile app in February, where you can just like turn on the app and speak to the AI agent whenever you have a piece of thought coming in, and you don't have to worry about organizing and structuring your notes. AI will do everything for you. So for every person, it's just very simple. When I'm on the go, when I read a document, whenever I have a thought, anywhere, anytime, I can just tell the AI and don't have reminding, structuring, organizing, and remembering everything. And so we came a long way from building an AI agent platform for everyone to zooming into the everyday work and productivity enhancement scenario for people.
Mm-hmm. And who are your competitors, and how do you differentiate from them, or your approach to stand out?
Yeah, the big competitors are definitely OpenAI, Character AI, or Pi. So those are great competitors, and we are very inspired by them. Especially, we use GPT-4 as well, and so we think that their API, their technology is great. However, there's only so much that a huge corporation can do. OpenAI tries to be a very tech-driven company and neutral, because it's so big. It covers everything, and so it cannot have a lot of bias, especially when it comes to like interface or industry, etc. So this is where smaller startups can come in, and there are a lot of vertical players out there. Like note taking, you have Notion. Notion is a great product, and I wouldn't say they're our competitor, because we complement each other. You write great articles on Notion, you read great articles on Notion, but it's very hard for you to do it offline, and it's very hard for you to just drop down a very, very simple short sentence on a Notion document. It feels so large that it's not light. And so we kind of like be a complementary of them. We can help you drop down like very simple small sentences, and makes you feel it's very light. Mm-hmm. Anytime I can talk to my AI. And so I think there are smaller competitors out there. I wouldn't want to name them, because they are so different. And what we're trying to build is kind of like very new in this industry.
Mm-hmm. And which channels do you use for communication?
I use Twitter, LinkedIn for communication, and our company has Twitter and LinkedIn account, as well as YouTube and TikTok accounts.
Yeah. Who your users are, and how many users do you have right now?
Our core users are usually the entrepreneurs, executives, and AI researchers, product managers, and designers. So these are like those people who have a lot of curiosity and a lot of demand to enhance their productivity, and those are great lovely users. They talk to us on Discord all the time and give us product feedback, and those feedback help us grow a lot. So I'm really appreciative of them. And we currently have more than 30,000 users since we launched in July last year, and we are launching our new version on Product Hunt on February the 4th, which is the second brain memory twin feature. And so stay tuned, and maybe you'll like our product.
I will be upvoting. I'm notified, so.
Thank you.
And you are founded by other companies or VCs, or what is the structure? Yes.
Right. So we got our first round of funding by Sequoia in China in January 2022, and we also got funded by Linear Capital, K2VC, PMP in China, as well as Sequoia Capital, Square Peg. So overall, we finished 3 rounds of funding up to now, and we secured more than I think definitely more than 10 million, around 11 to 12 million US dollars in funding.
And how many members are on the board?
Oh, we have, board members.
Yeah.
We have 5.
So only 5 people.
Our whole team has 30 people, 30 employees.
Oh, okay. And which markets do you want to cover? Do you have any specific country or location?
For now, we are more friendly in English, and that's due to some historical reasons that we designed some of our workflows in English. But we are trying to make the language more diversified in the future, and given the capability that we have now, I think we primarily serve people who speak English, namely those in North America and some people in Europe. But also, in the meantime, we have quite many users from Russia and from Israel, which is very interesting. So we'll try to build a Russian version starting from later this year, and we'll see if we can then serve our users from Russia much better.
Do you want to share some remarkable milestones of your company or some current goals?
Yeah, definitely. We want to make sure that people love our products, especially the memory twin part. And so one of our milestones is that we get on, Product Hunt, and again for this feature we get 5-star ratings, a lot of 5-star ratings, which is a reflection of how people like our product. But to be honest, we are looking to enhance our product retention and make it more than 30% for the second day retention in this year, and well, actually more than 35%, and we look to get to 500,000 users by the end of this year.
Wow, so I hope that you will rock it in the future as well.
Thank you.
One of the co-founders is a scientist, and I suppose that you talk about AI and tech, and according to your talks, have you discussed the possible threats of AI and the future of AI in general? What are your prognoses and how can affect your business and the future direction of your company?
You mean the possible trends of AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we discuss about every day. This industry changes so quickly. The technology evolves so fast every day, especially the progress of OpenAI is very impressive. So we think that likely this year GPT-5 will be launched, and there's going to be a better version of Gemini, and we'll see a lot of other open source models, the smaller models like Mistral, and the larger models like Llama, probably Llama 3. So we'll see a lot of like the booming of large language model in this year, as well as the booming of text to video, text to image, text to 3D models as well. So the technology will evolve even faster this year. But up to a certain point, the technology might plateau, because GPT-5 is going to be so useful, so powerful that people think that it's sufficient to define the future. That could be a possibility. And so up to that certain point, we might see a lot of AI Copilot products coming out of the market. So we realized that, wow, AI can not only summarize my information and do advanced search for me, but can also do a lot of better content and service generation for me. Because for now, with GPT-4 or with other models, you cannot really finish the whole job without human intervening into it, right? Like AI is only this smart. And when AI gets smarter, a lot more jobs can be finished, just like how search can be finished with AI right now. And so a lot of things can change. Nowadays, you see Perplexity trying to challenge the position of Google being an AI native search product. But soon enough in this year, you'll see a lot of other products trying to challenge the social industry, the content generation industry, the design industry, etc. And I think in next year or even 2 years later, there will be a truly AI native product that goes into gets people's attention, and that can likely be in combination of a new kind of hardware. And so I think it's going to be interesting, and that the trend can only be predicted. It cannot be foreseen. And so we only try to predict the trend and see how we react to it. And there's definitely possibility that my prediction of the trend is wrong, completely wrong, which doesn't matter either, because we've got great product that people love, so it's fine. But as long as that prediction goes as it is, our preparation of the trend is trying to define the AI native way of working, so like note taking. And so I think that is going to be more revolutionizing than becoming an AI native way of writing only, because I think note taking is the trend. When you outsource so many different jobs to AI, then you're going to spend more time thinking about ideas yourself and try to explore a little bit more. And so we think that the way that information is defined will be totally different, and it's very interesting for us to ride on that trend and try to be part of the forces to define it.
Yeah, it is very. I think that AI is the most discussed topic of today. So we will see what the future will bring. We are almost at the end of the first part of this episode, and I'd like to ask you if you could share your motivational thoughts at the end of this episode, something that can encourage people to make their decisions and to live fully their lives.
Right. Follow your heart. Everything is going to be okay. When people asked Cheryl for her advice years ago when we were at Meta in a meeting, Cheryl said, everything is going to be okay. And so a lot of times we fear of making decisions, we fear of making changes, fear of stepping out of our comfort zones because of the fear itself. But ultimately, everything is going to be okay. I've quitted my job at JPMorgan without getting a second job as a backup. And so after I quit it, I had a few months being unemployed. I was so anxious and I regretted my decision quitting JPMorgan without finding a second job. But now, as I get older, the only regret was that, I should have left earlier. and so think about the long term. If you want to get to point A in the long term, then don't waste your time getting anxious at point B. Just move on. So without fear, and follow your heart. Whatever your heart says, whatever makes you enlightened and want to just get out of your bed and do things every morning, that is your passion. And if you ever find your passion, because so few people in the world can ever find their passion, if you ever find your passion and your mission, just do it, whichever cost it is.
Okay, Kisson, thank you for your contribution to the discussion today.
Thank you.
I also want to ask the viewers, if they like this episode, to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I will list the projects you talked about in the description below. And in the description, I will also put a link to our Hero community where this conversation continues. So see you there. Was the job at Facebook and ByteDance stressful?
Everyone being high performers at those companies. At Facebook, work-life balance was quite good. So if I work later, people would say, hey, go back. You should have some work-life balance. So at ByteDance, we worked so hard. Gosh.
You have met with Sam Altman. What did you discuss?
I think deepfake is going to be a huge problem in our information security, authenticity, and it's going to be manipulating. It's going to be the great tool for people to manipulate. I don't have a great solution to that yet, and I'm concerned.